4-7 fractional equations. This lesson is very similar to 4-6 when you had those fractions within your equations that you were getting rid of. You're doing the same exact thing here. You have to make sure that you factor whatever you can. So if we look at example 1a, another couple of things that you need to remember to do is to check your answers by substituting your answers into the original equation, and also state your extraneous solutions, which means what x cannot equal. So when we look at this, we have 3 over x squared minus 7x plus 10 plus 2 is equal to x minus 4 over x minus 5. We can start by putting parentheses around this x minus 4 and this x minus 5 and factoring that first fraction there. So it's going to be 3 over something. What are the factors of 10? That add up to be negative 7. Then we have a negative 2, so it's x minus 2, and a negative 5, so that's x minus 5. We can make this 2 over 1, and then we're going to have x minus 4 over x minus 5. So from here, what is your least common denominator? Remember, with these, their least common denominator, you want to look at all of your denominators. You have your x minus 2, your x minus 5, your 1, and your x minus 5. What's the same here? The x minus 5. So we're going to keep that one. And we're also going to have the x minus 2 as well. So your least common denominator is that x minus 5 times x minus 2. So we're going to multiply the entire equation by x minus 5 times x minus 2. So we're going to do x minus 5 times x minus 2 over 1 times 3 over x minus 2 times x minus 5. And then we're going to have, again, the x minus 5 times x minus 2 over 1 times 2 over 1 is equal to x minus 5 times x minus 2 over 1 times x minus 4 over x minus 5. So from here, we can cancel out wherever we can. These x minus 2's cancel out, these x minus 5's cancel out, so it's just going to be 1 times 3, which is 3. Then we have x minus 5 times x minus 2 times 2, so that's 2 times x squared minus 7x plus 10. And then we have our equal sign, and then that x minus 5 and the x minus 5 cancel out, so we're going to have x minus 2 times x minus 4. So we're going to multiply all of this now. So you're going to have 3 plus, let's zoom in on this so it's not so big, 3 plus 2 times x squared is 2x squared. And then 2 times negative 7 is negative 14x. 2 times 10 is 20. Is equal to, then we have x times x, which is x squared. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. And negative 4 times negative 2 is a positive 8. So from here, we're going to combine our like terms on each side of the equation, the equal sign. And then we are going to get everything to one side so we can factor if we have an x squared. So we have 2x squared minus 14x plus 23 is equal to x squared minus 6x plus 8. So from here, we're going to move the x squared over by subtracting it from each side. We're going to have x squared minus 14x plus 23 is equal to negative 6x plus 8. Now we're going to add the 6x to each side and be left with x squared minus 14 minus, or 14, negative 14 plus 6 is negative 8x plus 23 is equal to 8. And then we're going to move the 8 over by subtracting it from each side. So we have x squared minus 8x plus 15 is equal to 0. Your factors of 15 that add up to be a negative 8 are negative 3 and negative 5. So that's x minus 3 times x minus 5 is equal to 0. So we're now going to set each of these equal to 0 and solve for x. So we're going to add the 3. We have x is equal to 3. And add the 5. We have that x is equal to 5. Now, you need to think about your extraneous solutions. So what cannot be x? When you factored out you found your least common denominator, you had the x minus 5 times x minus 2. So from here, you can give me what x cannot equal. Let's do this in a different color. So x minus 5 cannot equal 0. X minus 2 cannot equal 0. Add the 5, x cannot equal 5. Add the 2, x cannot equal 2. So the only solution here that we have is the x is equal to 3. This x is equal to 5 is an extraneous solution. You could also plug it back into the original equation for both of these and solve, and you'll get the same answer. For our next example, we have x over x minus 1 is equal to x minus 2 over x minus 3. So you could multiply both sides of your equation by your least common denominator. You can also say my least common denominator out of these two is x minus 1 times x minus 3. So when I go to find what x cannot equal, I'm going to have x minus 1 is not equal to 0, as well as x minus 3 is not equal to 0. Add the 1, x cannot equal 1. Add the 3, x cannot equal 3. So another way of doing this is to cross multiply. So we are going to cross multiply. We'll have x times x minus 3 is equal to x minus 1 times x minus 2. So x times x minus 3, we're going to have x squared minus 3x is equal to, then we do the x minus 1 times x minus 2, FOIL it. We're going to have x squared minus 2x minus x plus 2. So we're going to rewrite this as x squared minus 3x is equal to x squared minus 3x plus 2. So from here, we are going to move the x squared over by subtracting it from each side. Both are going to cancel out, so we're going to have negative 3x is equal to negative 3x plus 2. Then we're going to move the 3 over, or the 3x over, sorry. And we have those cancel out, so it's 0 is equal to 2. Well, that's a false statement. So because we have a false statement here, we have no solution. If we look at our next example, we have z over z minus 2 minus 1 over z plus 3 is equal to z plus, or sorry, z or 10 over z squared plus z minus 6. So this is going to, first we're going to find the factored form of that z squared plus z minus 6. Your factors of negative 6 that add up to be a 1, a positive 1, are negative 2 and positive 3. So this is going to still be z over z minus 2 minus 1 over z plus 3 is equal to 10 over z minus 2. Z minus 2, let's try to erase this. There we go. Z minus 2 times z plus 3. So our least common denominator here for this one is the x, or sorry, z. I'm saying z, writing x. Okay, z minus 2z plus 3. And then our least common denominator is z. I'm not going to be able to erase that. Okay, so z, 10 over z minus 6 is equal to 10 over z minus 2 minus 1 over z plus 3. Z minus 2 times z plus 3. And then our least common denominator is z. minus 2 times z plus 3. All right, so we're going to multiply the entire equation by that z minus 2 times z plus 3. So with our first one, we are missing the z plus 3 there. So we're going to cancel this out and just do z times z plus 3. Our second one, we're going to have negative 1 times that z plus 3 cancel out. What's left over is the z minus 2 is equal to, and then that second or that third fraction has both, so it's just going to be equal to 10. So we are going to distribute the z in to get z squared plus 3z, and then we're going to distribute that negative 1 in, so it's going to be negative z plus 2 is equal to 10. So now combine like terms. The 3z minus z is 2z, so it's z squared plus 2z plus 2 is equal to 10. We're going to move that 10 over by subtracting it from both sides to get z squared plus 2z minus 8 is equal to 0. So what are the factors of negative 8 that add up to be a 2? We have 4 and 2, so this is going to be z plus 4 times z minus 2 is equal to 0. So from here, we are going to set each of these equal to 0. So z plus 4 is equal to 0, and z minus 2 is equal to 0. We're solve for z. We're going to subtract 4. We're going to have z is equal to negative 4. And then we're going to add 2 and get z is equal to 2. Now, look back at your least common denominator. We said our least common denominator was x minus 2 times x minus 3. Or z, sorry, z minus 2 times z plus 3. So what x cannot equal, or z cannot equal, z minus 2 cannot equal 0, z plus 3 cannot equal 0. Add the 2, we get z is not equal to 2. Subtract the 3, z cannot equal negative 3. So if we look here that z cannot equal negative 2, z is equal to negative 2. So this is an extraneous solution. Our only solution is the z is equal to negative 4. If we look at D, we have 12 over t plus 12 over t plus 7 is equal to 1. So our least common denominator here is t times t plus 7. So t cannot equal 0, t plus 7 cannot equal 0. Subtract the 7, so t cannot equal negative 7 or 0. So we're going to multiply the entire equation by t times t plus 7. So this is going to be t times t plus 7 times 12 over t. That t is going to cancel out on both, so it's just going to be 12 times t plus 7. Then we're going to have the t plus 7, or t times t plus 7 times 12 over t plus 7. The t plus 7's cancel, so it's just going to be 12 times t. And then we have 1 times t plus 7. So we are going to multiply here or distribute. 12 times t is 12t. And then we have that 12 times 7, which is 84. 12 times t is 12t. And then we have t times t, which is t squared. And t times 7 is 7t. So we are going to get everything on the same side with that t squared. Once we combine like terms on the left side, the 12t plus 12t is 24t plus 84 is equal to t squared plus 7t. So we're going to move the 24 over by subtracting it. And we're going to have 84 is equal to t squared minus 7 minus 24 is 17. negative 17, sorry, negative 17t. So now we're going to move the 84 over by subtracting it. And we're going to be left with t squared minus 17t minus 84 is equal to 0. So now we want the factors of 84 that add up to be a negative 17. Your factors of negative 84 that add up to be a negative 17 are 4 and negative 21. So this is going to factor out to be t plus 4 times t minus 21 is equal to 0. So now set each of these equal to 0 and solve for t. We're going to move that 4 over by subtracting it and get t is equal to negative 4. And we're going to add the 21 over to get t is equal to 21. Remember, look back at your least common denominator. We said that t cannot equal 0 and t cannot equal to negative 7. So because those two are not negative 4 or negative 21, we want to check this. So with the t is equal to 21 and the t is equal to negative 4, we're going to plug those in. So for the negative 4, we're going to have 12 over negative 4 plus 12 over negative 4 plus 7 is equal to 1. 12 over negative 4 is negative 3. 12 over negative 4 plus 7 is 12 over 3, which is 4. Negative 3 plus 4 is equal to 1, and 1 is equal to 1. So this is a solution. Same thing with the 21. Check that. So we're going to have 12 over 21 plus 12 over 21 plus 7 should equal 1. So 12 over 21 is going to give us 4 over 7. And then we have 12 over 21 plus 7 is 12 over 28 is equal to 1. So then this is going to be 4 over 7 plus 3 over 7 is equal to 1, and that's 7 over 7, which is equal to 1. So this also is a solution. So both the negative 4 and the 21 are solutions. If we look at E, we have 5 over 3 plus 1,000 over R is equal to 25 over 9. So our least common denominator here is 9R. So if we put the 9, R is not equal to 0, divide by 9, R is not equal to 0. So R cannot be 0. We're going to multiply the entire equation by 9R. We're going to have 9R times 5 over 3 plus 9R over 1,000 over R is equal to 9R times 25 over 9. So the 9s are going to cancel out here. We're going to have R times 25. Then the R's are going to cancel out here. We're going to have 9 times 1,000. And then the 3 is going to turn into a 1, making the 9 a 3. So it's going to be 3R times 5. So we're going to have 3R times 5 is 15R. 9 times 1,000 is 9,000. And R times 25 is 25R. I'm going to move the 15R over by subtracting it. And we get 9,000 is equal to 10R. And then we're going to divide each side by 10 and get that R is equal to 900. Now, 900 is not 0, so we know that that's our solution.